You stay late, do the work, keep things running. But someone else gets the praise. You're not lazy. You're not bad at your job. You're just overlooked. But what if you're overlooked for a different reason? Not because you lack skill, because you lack stillness. The most respected people in any room stay calm when everyone else loses it. They follow quiet habits no one talks about. I'll show you 5 of those hidden habits. Ancient Stoic wisdom that helps you stay composed, earn respect, and project quiet authority, even in toxic meetings. Ever wonder why some people stay calm when everything falls apart? Why do they handle pressure like it's nothing, while others snap at the smallest thing? It's not luck. It's not personality. It's something deeper. Here's the truth. If you don't control your inner world, the outer world will control you. In today's workplace, that means burnout, missed chances, and a reputation for being reactive instead of reliable. That's the difference between getting looked at for leadership and getting overlooked. I've helped professionals who were exactly where you are, smart, driven, exhausted. They weren't broken. They were missing one skill most people never learn: being fully awake when things get hard. This doesn't mean crystals or chanting. It means staying self-aware and steady when pressure hits. Think of a storm. Most people get tossed around by waves. Spiritually awake people become the anchor. The storm happens. They don't drift with it. But here's what most people miss. Stoicism isn't about being emotionless. It's about mastering emotion so it serves you instead of sabotaging you. That's what turns calm into power. By the end of this video, you'll have 5 quiet habits, ancient tools you can use Monday morning to stay composed and project real authority. No matter who tests you. Let's start with the first one. A habit so simple, most people miss it completely. Yet it's the foundation for every great leader. Habit number 1. They observe more than they speak. In most meetings, everyone wants to talk. But have you watched the person who doesn't? The one sitting quietly, taking it all in. Somehow, they still own the room. That's not shyness. That's strategy. Here's why this matters. When you talk too soon, you lose power. When you react too fast, you lose control. Every word shapes how people see you. Calm or careless. Wise or insecure. Fill every pause with noise. People stop listening. But here's the truth. Silence actually speaks. It tells the room, I'm thinking, I'm confident, I don't need to prove myself. Real leadership isn't about being loudest. It's about having the clearest mind. Here's how they do it. They count to 3 before replying. They ask questions instead of jumping in. They let others talk themselves into clarity or mistakes. I worked with a team lead. Let's call him Mark. Everyone was arguing about deadlines in a meeting. Voices raised, fingers pointed. Mark didn't say a word for 10 minutes. Just listened. When the noise died down, he said one sentence.
The real issue isn't the timeline. No one agreed on priorities.
Silence. The room stopped. He wasn't just part of the meeting anymore. He led it. By saying less, every word counted. His boss later called him the calmest voice in chaos. Think of silence like a pause button. It doesn't stop the movie. It gives you control over what happens next. I learned this the hard way. Early in my career, I thought talking meant confidence. I filled every silence with words. But I sounded nervous, not smart. When I slowed down and really listened, people leaned in. They started listening to me. Here's the key insight. Silence isn't empty. It's full of information. When you stop reacting, you start seeing. You notice who's confident and who's bluffing. You see what others miss. That's how influence begins. Most people think leadership means having the loudest voice. Spiritually awake leaders know it's about having the clearest mind. When your mind is clear, something powerful happens. Emotions stop controlling you. You act from strength, not stress. That clarity leads to the second hidden habit. Habit number 2. They practice invisible detachment. When you stop reacting, you start seeing clearly. And what you see might surprise you. Not everything deserves your energy. Spiritually awake people understand this. They practice what I call invisible detachment. This is where most professionals struggle. You care about your work, your team, your results. That's good. But when you attach your worth to things you can't control, your boss's mood, a client's reaction, the promotion list, you hand over your power. That's why talented people burn out. They carry stress that doesn't belong to them. Here's the twist. Caring and being attached aren't the same thing. Detachment isn't apathy, it's clarity. You stay engaged without being owned by the result. Spiritually awake leaders act with full effort, but zero desperation. They focus on what they control, their mindset, preparation, tone. They release what they can't. When things go wrong, they pause and breathe. They remind themselves, this is feedback, not failure. They don't chase approval. They anchor in purpose. Let me give you an example. My client Sam was up for a director role. He prepared like a pro, nailed the interview, didn't get it. Old Sam would have spiraled, replaying the moment, doubting himself, blaming luck. But this time, he practiced detachment. He told me,
I showed up as my best self. That's the only part I control.
3 months later, the position opened again. The company offered it to him. Why? Calm confidence sticks. Desperation repels. Think of detachment like holding water in your hand. Squeeze too hard, it slips away. Hold gently, it stays. That's what power looks like. Relaxed, steady, under control. I lost a client I really wanted once. At first, I took it personally. I thought I'd failed. Then I realized my job isn't to convince anyone. My job is to show up fully, do the work, and let outcomes unfold. 2 weeks later, that client called back. They said, "You were the only one who didn't sound desperate." That's invisible detachment in action. The moment you stop needing something, you become magnetic. People sense it. Your calm becomes your credibility. We're taught that passion means obsession. But real passion is showing up with purpose, not pressure. When you stop attaching to every outcome, something beautiful happens. You have energy left for people. That's where the third habit comes in. Most people mistake it for weakness, but it's actually the mark of true strength. Habit number 3. They practice compassion with boundaries. When you stop attaching to every outcome, something shifts. You have more peace, more energy for people. But here's where most leaders trip up. They confuse compassion with compliance. You've seen it. The kind team lead who gets buried in everyone's problems. They're the go-to person until they're the burned-out person. They say yes to everything. Take on too much. Call it leadership. But without boundaries, compassion turns into exhaustion. And exhausted people can't lead anyone. Here's the twist. You can be kind and firm. You can care without carrying. Compassion is strength, but only when it's guided by self-respect. Spiritually awake, people practice compassion with boundaries. They understand that empathy isn't about absorbing someone's stress. It's about understanding it without letting it sink you. When someone unloads their frustration, they listen once, stay calm, respond with care. But they don't get pulled into the drama. They say, "I understand how you feel. Here's what I can do." Not, "Let me fix everything for you." I coached a manager named Lisa who struggled with this. Her team loved her, but she was always drained. Every day someone brought her a crisis. She'd stay late solving it. We practiced a simple rule: care first, fix last. That week, she told her team, "I'll always listen, but I can't carry your stress for you." At first, they were surprised, but something amazing happened. They started solving their own problems. Her respect went up. Her stress went down. Think of compassion like oxygen on a plane. You put your mask on first, not because you're selfish, because you can't help anyone if you can't breathe. Boundaries are your oxygen mask. I used to think saying no made me look cold. But I learned that no protects what matters most. Now, when someone asks for more than I can give, I say, "I want to help you, but I also need to stay balanced." People respect honesty more than fake harmony. You don't have to choose between being respected and being kind. When you stand firm with warmth, people feel safe. That's what real leadership is. We're taught to help everyone. But Stoic compassion says the best way to help others is to stay whole yourself. Once your boundaries are strong, something powerful happens. Your inner world gets quieter. You start hearing your own thoughts again. That's where the fourth habit comes in, a daily practice that turns noise into clarity. Habit number 4. They audit their inner dialogue daily. Once your boundaries are strong, your outer world gets calmer. But there's still one battlefield left, the one inside your head. No matter how steady you look outside, your thoughts can still pull you off balance if you don't manage them. Think about it. How many times have you left a meeting replaying what you should have said? Or woken up at 3 a.m. thinking about an email you haven't sent? That endless loop drains more energy than a 10-hour workday. If you don't control your thoughts will control you. Here's the wild part. Most people talk to themselves more in one day than they talk to anyone else all week. But they never listen to what they're saying. Spiritually awake, people know that peace isn't about silence around you. It's about clarity within you. They audit their inner dialogue every day. They treat their thoughts like emails, some worth reading, most ready to delete. Here's how. Each morning or night, they pause for 5 minutes. They ask 3 questions. Number 1, is this thought true? Number 2, is it useful? Number 3, is it mine? Or did I pick it up from someone else? That's the power of auditing your thoughts. You find the lies your mind tells you, and stop believing them. Think of your mind like a messy desk. Never clean it? Everything important gets buried. Clear the clutter? You find your focus again. I do this myself. Every morning before opening my laptop, I write 1 line. What do I need to think clearly today? Some days, it's patience. Other days, courage. That one question keeps my day from running me. You can't lead others if you can't lead your own thoughts. The world will always test you. Your peace comes from how you interpret it. Most people think control means controlling others. But real control starts with mastering what goes on in your head. When your inner dialogue becomes clear, something powerful happens. You crave quiet. Not the kind that avoids life, the kind that helps you see it better. That's the final habit, one that turns stillness into strength. Habit number 5, they retreat to advance. When your mind finally quiets down, something interesting happens. You stop craving noise. You start valuing space. Spiritually awake people understand this better than anyone. Sometimes, the fastest way forward is to step back. But most professionals never do. We're trained to stay on all the time, answering messages, checking notifications, chasing the next task. The problem? When you're always reacting, you stop thinking. You become a firefighter, not a leader. Without retreat, your energy burns out. So does your clarity. Here's the shocker. Stillness isn't weakness. It's strategy. The calmest people aren't checked out. They're charging up. Reflection turns action into wisdom. Spiritually awake, leaders build regular retreat moments into their lives. Not to escape work. To sharpen their focus. It doesn't mean a week in the mountains. It can be a quiet walk after a meeting. 10 minutes without your phone before bed. Silent coffee before the day starts. They use solitude as a reset, a time to ask, am I acting from pressure or purpose? One project manager I worked with felt constantly overwhelmed. He started taking 15-minute walks outside after every tough call. No phone, no podcast, just quiet. Within a month, he told me, I stopped reacting in meetings. I started responding. That small retreat gave him control of his emotions. His team noticed. He was calmer, clearer. People began trusting his judgment. Think of an archer. Before every shot, they pull back the bowstring. That moment of tension and stillness gives the arrow its power. Retreating doesn't slow you down. It loads your next move with precision. I do the same before recording videos like this. 10 quiet minutes, no script, no phone, just breathing and noticing what I feel. That space helps me speak from calm, not chaos. Rest isn't a reward, it's part of the work. You can't show up strong if you never step away to recharge. We glorify busyness as progress, but in Stoic terms, stillness is the real productivity hack. So those are the 5 hidden habits. Quiet, steady, powerful. When you start practicing them, you don't just lead others better. You lead yourself better. Remember at the start when I said you might be overlooked, not because you lack skill, but because you lack stillness? These 5 habits are your path to that stillness. You don't need to master all 5 overnight. Pick one. Start tomorrow morning. Maybe it's counting to 3 before you speak in your next meeting, or taking that quiet walk after a tough call. The difference between getting looked at for leadership and getting overlooked isn't talent. It's presence. And presence comes from practicing these habits when no one's watching. If this helped you see leadership differently, hit subscribe. I share practical Stoic wisdom every week for professionals ready to level up their inner game. Remember, executive by day, Stoic always. Your colleagues will notice the change before you do. That's how you know it's working.